Hello, everyone. Back with Michael Golpe. We're going to talk about the trend of XRP being added to corporate balance sheets. And guess what, everybody? It's only growing. How cool is that? You're going to want to see what we have in the research. And if anything, before we get into it all, it's that QR code above Michael's head. Why do you want to scan that QR code? It's because you want to get yourself some free USDT. Whether you're a fan or not, it's, hey, free money. I'll take some free money. So check it out. If you choose to do so, it's on BTCC. And of course, that exchange has been around since 2011. I could just send you something that's been around for like only a couple months. Not my style. But let's jump into the material. Again, consider smashing that like. What do we have? Well, again, Brother Smoke, once again, killing it with the research. What does he have? Well, here it is. And it's what he points out. This was posted not that long ago. Very, very recent, to say the least. He points out this. The trend of XRP, like you saw in the title, being added to corporate balance sheets is only growing. Worksport, which, by the way, is in New York State, was an early mover. Digital commodities followed more recently. Both are traded publicly, and more will come. And here's, of course, the documentation. So what does he have? Well, basically it's like this. By holding XRP, financial institutions can streamline their reserves, eliminating the need to maintain multiple Nostro accounts. This simplifies operations by only requiring domestic currencies and XRP. This is not only going to reduce the complexity and cost of foreign exchange, treasury operations, and liquidity management, but also helps banks comply with Basel III liquidity requirements.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. Just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
All right. In addition, using XRP, well, that's going to mitigate the risk of bankruptcy associated with corresponding banks holding funds, making the entire system more resilient. That's the key. And if anything, as more banks and corporations adopt this approach, the demand for XRP will grow. And let's face it, on-demand liquidity would also grow. Not mentioned there, but let's be honest about that. So this increased demand will drive XRP's trading volume and price. I couldn't agree more. A little bit more about this. The more XRP integrates into the global financial systems, the higher its value becomes, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of adoption and growth. More documentation from Smoke. He wants to pound it home. Can you blame him?
Can you dig it?
He points out this, and this should be big enough. He states, citing, of course, the document, teleporting gold. How many times have you seen some of my thumbnails where I talk about specifically, XRP gold, stellar silver? Will and I did an outline about stellar silver, stellar gold. Yeah, on the lookout for that as well. I'm going to bring you lots of material this coming week. Whatever the case be, this gets really, really interesting. Are we talking about Star Trek stuff here? Not quite. This is cool because when we get into it, the dormant cash, as pointed out towards the bottom, in the world of Basel III, well, it counts as yet another balance sheet asset against which a bank has to hold cash to cover its liabilities. Ripple's big idea is to use XRP once its market cap gets high enough and it is being traded heavily enough to provide banks with liquidity on demand. My goodness gracious, three balls of fire. The way I look at it personally is this tells me that this is all strategically designed, to say the least, and we're not even fully into the meat and potatoes about this. You guys give me criticism about it, and that's okay. Some of you people say I'm high. But you know what? if you actually study Ripple XRP, this makes sense. It has to have an incredibly high price in the future. And again, we're just scratching some of the surface about this, getting into the weeds of what Smoke has. But we'll take a quick break on this because I want to get Michael's feedback and thoughts about it before we even get to the second or third page of this. But I'm telling you flat out, I think this is big. And yeah, where do we really truly go with this?
I'll have some of what you're puffing. Maybe I already have.
Look at this.
That's just nothing but a cigarette.
This cig of weed.
Well, it looking like a cigarette.
You better have glaucoma.
I do.
But this just goes to show XRP's price is super high. I've been catching a lot of flack lately about this. You see it on X. Yeah, it's just people don't understand the mechanism behind this stuff. XRP price is going to be much higher, in my humble opinion. And the fact that this New York company is doing this, it makes me proud as a native New Yorker, but it also shows that what I consider excessive protectionism from New York State is totally unwarranted because, like most people all around the country, New Yorkers do have the savvy to understand crypto. And any narrative, any other narrative is just, well, forgive me, horse hockey, in my humble opinion. But yeah, please keep going, Max. I want to hear more.
Is it a bunch of phooey? Is it a bunch of hogwash? What do we have? Well, here it is. And here it is blown up a little bit bigger for you. So as we zoom in, you see this on the citation. We'll actually take that off for a brief bit. It says here, a financial institution has only to hold domestic currencies and one XRP stock on its balance sheet rather than depositing reserves at each correspondent bank's. Participants within the network directly make markets between their domestic currencies and XRP, thus lowering the costs associated with maintaining nostro accounts minimum. All right. What was cited here? Well, this comes from Thomas and Schwartz, Super Note 2. And that was apparently from page 20 of that particular document. As we get further into this, let's jump back to the next part. Because when we get to the next part, it pulls up this. And as this comes across your screen as well, it's the whole idea of economic implications of a universal bridge asset. How many times have you heard this terminology over the course of how many years now? I don't know, quite a while, but whatever the case be. Let's get into the weeds of this as well. Because when we do, it gets incredibly interesting. So, like it says, banks currently incur significant infrastructure costs processing cross-border payments. Deploying Ripple and XRP can help banks eliminate or lower these costs. This part, in regards to the FX market, this spread can be between fiat currencies or between fiat currency and XRP held on the bank's balance sheet. When XRP is used, the model assumes that banks hold XRP on their balance sheets and provide their own liquidity for FX transactions. However, third-party markets makers can also be used. Interesting. All right. What about that part about Basel III? Because let's face it, Smoke mentioned it numerous times. I've done quite a few outlines about Basel III as well, especially with Quant. Well, he addresses that. It says the opportunity cost to the sending institution of the holding lower yielding, high quality liquid assets is designed by penning Basel III regulations against credit exposing during the in-flight period. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And this part's not even highlighted, but I want to mention this. It says for a representative respondent bank with 12 billion in annual payment volumes across 5 corridors, 157,000 transactions a month, global average transaction size of 6,300 for international transactions, and a 6% cost of capital. Cost breaks down as follows. And if anything, back to the whole example of Basel III, because even on the bottom left, you see the Ripple logo, and it says the cost-cutting case for banks. The return on investment of using Ripple and, does it say XRP? Come on, Smoke. We love you, bro, but you should highlight that part too. It does say XRP for global interbank settlements. That's awesome. And of course, the part number 8, Basel III cost reductions are dependent on jurisdiction and institution-specific methodologies for implementing LCR requirements. And this bottom part is kind of in the middle, actually. It says, even if the in-flight period reduces to 0 with Ripple, using the next 30 days, uninstructed international payments could keep the cost the same. Ongoing regulatory developments can indirectly impact the considerations of the model. Well, guess what? Ongoing regulatory developments, in my opinion, are going to come into fruition. It's inevitable that it'll be this year, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. All right, jump into a little bit more about this and why you're obviously paying attention to it and so on. Well, it's like this. Smoke gets into the next part of this. And what does he basically have? Well, he points out that the NASDAQ companies are buying XRP, of course, as a corporate reserve asset. I think I covered this a while back, but just in case you were thinking, Worksport never cited anything about this. Are you sure about that? Because as pointed out here, well, he's got the receipts. And in the receipts, we see from CoinDesk and other publications that corporate Bitcoin treasuries are all the rage, but now XRP, Worksport, which is a NASDAQ-listed manufacturer of covers for pickup trucks, has decided not only to buy Bitcoin for its corporate treasury, but also Ripple's XRP. When was the last time that was published? Well, basically updated December 4th, a few months ago, 6 months, give or take, right? Because we're coming up here soon on the midpoint of the year. But I decided to get more into this. And actually, I meant to have it on that tab. So you see that, okay? As we pull up the next part of why this matters, you will see simple Google search. Yeah, this company is in New York, Worksport. And as pointed out, they do all these things in regard to the back of a truck, okay? But here's the bottom line. Durable hardcover that offers all the features you want. Shop by make and model, et cetera, et cetera. All right, automotive industry. Basically headquartered with their manufacturing plant in West Seneca, New York. Michael Golpe and I found out that that is near Buffalo. So shout out to you guys in Buffalo, like Viber Finance and his significant other in Viberville. You guys are not that far from Buffalo, but whatever the case be, what's mentioned here is constant references from Worksport and softcover, trifold for Chevrolets, GMC, which let's face it, Chevy's under the GMC blanket. But anyway, Dodge, Ford, Toyota, you get the gist. All right. Has Worksport ever tweeted? Nowadays, you call it posted on X in regard to XRP. The answer is yes. Look at this. January 29th, Worksport initiates Bitcoin, BTC, and Ripple XRP purchases. It says, with Trump back in office, crypto is in the spotlight. Inflation is real, and they're taking action. And they predict, of course, 6-figure BTC and XRP purchase, hedging against inflation. Again, yada, yada, yada. Well, again, I want you guys to understand that when you see more of this, how many times do they reference XRP? Like it says, WKSP, Worksport to adopt cryptocurrency, Bitcoin XRP for corporate treasury. And like it says here, to adopt cryptocurrency, Bitcoin XRP for corporate treasury. And they even have like some of this that's mentioned on NASDAQ. Another citation. Worksport Limited shares multiple milestones, strengthens market positions, initial crypto, BTC, and XRP investment nears. I mean, it seems pretty clear to me that they constantly reference XRP. How about this from January 28th? Create XRP BTC accounts using crypto treasury strategy. Major growth ahead and 3 new product lines in 2025. How awesome is that to see that? All right. I think you get the point in regard to Worksport. All right. Here's another key highlight I want to get into before I kick it back over to Michael. It says from their website, which is investors.worksport.com, well, you can join the $13 billion mobile power revolution. Worksport is growing in multiple quarters every year. As an American manufacturer with unique tech integration, Worksport's future is bright. So again, Trump and the whole thing of America first, and if anything, the whole thing of, if it's American-based company, not getting taxed on crypto, it kind of makes sense that these guys would get behind something like Ripple XRP. But again, interesting to see the terminology. And as I scroll further down, here's where I want to put some emphasis. Targeting industry leaders, some big names, Costco. I mean, a lot of you guys got a Costco card, right? But the U.S. Army, interesting. Hyundai, Ford, Tesla, wonder how that's going to come into fruition. But again, some big names to say the least. And again, definitely not something I want to dismiss. All right, so do we join this revolution? What else do we have? Why even point it out? Well, basically, it's like this as well. And definitely also worth pointing out. When you jump more into this, it has a roadmap of where they came from and how they did. But again, I like the terminology. I like the idea that they are checking all the boxes needed to disrupt the global energy market. Now, keep that in your head for a brief moment. Back to the topic of Hyundai. We are scaling in partnership with Hyundai. All right. Hyundai. Okay. Where's Max really going with this? Well, this is where it gets kind of beautiful. Because for me, it's this. And I know we're talking a lot about Ripple XRP, but honorable mention to HBAR. Because we know that HBAR has this whole thing, as in Hedera, with Hyundai and even Kia. Because let's face it, Hyundai and Kia, they're together out of South Korea, right? So then there's that. And like it says here, Hyundai Motor and Kia introduced CO2 emission monitoring system built, of course, on the Hedera network. Now, it dates back, of course, to August 2nd, 2023. But again, how do we come full circle with it all? Well, boil it, mash it, stick it in stew. You guys know where we're going with this. It was this big announcement from May of last year. Ripple and XRPL Labs joined Hedera and Algorand ecosystems as founding members of the DREC Alliance. Why is that DREC Alliance important? Well, multiple reasons. But things like being quantum resistant. And as we see, you even have Constellation DAG part of that. And I think, if anything, Constellation DAG, Department of Defense, Air Force, I think that might very well be your military plug. So to see these guys targeting, for example, the U.S. Army, I think that's a major deal.
This goes to show why you're my go-to researcher, Max, because this is a great deep dive. It shows that XRP is not just banks. It's used for the banking, of course, with Basel III, but the adoption of these companies of this size, interacting with other organizations and companies that are interacting with other blockchains. This goes to show all these ISO coins, and by extension QNT, are operating together, and we're bringing in a new future, and it's going to happen whether people like it or not. This is really, I'm just very excited. I'm almost speechless here at this point, because you found a really good set of connections here. And as I'm putting it together in my head, I'm seeing this as the start of something that's going to expand into so many other good, strong companies. And I got to give them a huge shout out there, because they're actually seeing the future, and they're in it. They're in the future now. They're not playing around. But anyway, please, back to you, Max.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing around at all, especially the whole thing of the DREC Alliance. It's so much more than just seed recovery, right?
Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Lionel Richie. Okay, not quite at Lionel Richie, but this is Daniel once again, and as some of you know, I am Max and Michael's AI robot assistant. Hopefully you like the new software that Max is using to provide you all better visuals and some fun while learning. We hope that Max and Michael has earned your like, and we hope that you will consider subscribing by smashing that like a Oklahoma smash burger, and by smashing that bell notification as if you were ringing a cowbell after you subscribe. Please do Max and Michael a solid by typing this key term into the comments, and that is, stick it to the rhubarb. And these brothers will know that you listened to the entire outline. As Max would say, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. We will see you on the next one.
Finish it. Smoke wins. Flawless victory. Babality.